No, I listen to it all the time. I tell all my friends to smack it raw.
Following podcast contains mature content. The views and opinions expressed by the host are not to those of the host. Social discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Smackin' Raw podcast episode 223. I am your host, the patron saint of podcasting, the Warden Mad Ritter. I am here with my unofficial fourth member of our show from the She Lead Showcase. She is the host of Inside the Mind of, and in the crowd, you all know her. It's Miss Katie Kinsey Bebe. And we are not alone today. We have one half, or I guess technically 2/4, which is still one half, of the Down for the Count podcast. We've got Tiffany and Alexis. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, I'm good.
Hello, doing good.
We apologize for not being on camera. We got y'all next time, though. For real.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that. And if you guys want to go check them out, listen to them. They do have audio versions of their podcast. I was just talking to them. There's a one night stand episode where they talk about wrestlers that they would have one night stands with. If you enjoy this podcast, you are going to love that episode. So go check that out. Absolutely. But we're here to talk wrestling. If you're a Down for the Count fan and you're new here, I'll give you a quick brief rundown. We'll do a little bit of news and rumors. But basically what I do is I let our guest hosts from Down for the Count pick a show. I do a quick rundown, and then we'll say what we're spitting and what we're swallowing from each show. What we like is what we swallow. What we don't like is what we spit. And then I will do an overall for the show, whether we liked it or not. We'll do every show that happened this week, and then at the end, we'll pick our favorite show. So first and foremost, I always talk about Young Kings Wrestling. They have those Black Lives Matter NWO style t-shirts. TC and Ric are my boys. And they take all of the money from those shirts and they donate it directly into GoFundMe's for people who have been affected by police brutality and injustice. So if you are so willing to donate, please go do so. And at the same time, get yourself an awesome shirt. Still trying to get TC to just release the black and red ones. He keeps saying they're coming and then never sends me a link. But they're fucking awesome. And you know where the money's going. They're in no way affiliated with the Black Lives Matter organization. This is something that they're doing specifically themselves and directly putting the money into the hands of the people that need it. So please go support them if you can. Also, news and rumors. Apparently Rhea Ripley's single now. And just posting thirst pics all over Twitter.
That's why she's posting that.
Nope.
I thought she was still with him. Wow.
So you're saying I have a chance now?
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Hell yes.
I mean, I'm sure there's a line. Y'all can maybe Royal Rumble for it, but there's a chance.
Might have to. We might have to.
I might have to.
I got my money on the Lexus. She's pretty strong. So
I might have to fight Janae. So that's gonna be awkward.
But yeah. Also, Ric Flair apparently is just gone off the deep end. And now, on top of all the other shit he's said and done, he told WWE that since they removed him from the intro and all of the other stuff that happened because of his own actions, he wants his stuff back from WWE, his legacy, which he specifically stated or posted pictures of 2 titles, one winged eagle title, and I believe another one of the big gold belts or an NWA championship. But yeah, he's like, it's a bad breakup where now he's trying to get his shit back. Like his CDs are still in WWE's car and he's trying to get them back. They've still got his hoodie. CDs. They're not getting it. It is what it is. But Rick's just fucking lost his mind, and I feel so bad for Charlotte for having to deal with that shit. Because
I mean, what? You're 70 something years old, dude. I mean, just go to Shady Pines. I'm sick of it. Go to Shady Pines and go check in and just go sit down somewhere and get some tapioca pudding. Please. We tired of it. It's just annoying at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The shitty thing is I used to really like Ric Flair. And honestly, I mean, just seeing how he's been acting since that episode of Dark Side of the Ring came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like he's just doing more harm than good it is right now. And it's just like he's just looking like he's basically looking like Virgil. He's just looking like the sad old man who just wants attention.
Absolutely. And it sucks for me because my wife has always hated Ric Flair for some reason. And I've always been like, oh, well, he's this many, like he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. And now she's just like, yep, see, I told you he was a piece of shit. You should have just been listening to me the whole time. And all I can do is sit there and be like, oh, well, fuck, you're right.
I was
always
at
right.
the Hall of Fame ceremony when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame at WWE. It was right before WrestleMania. I saw his last match. Like, that was how big of an influence he was on me. I was just like, I gotta see his last match. I gotta see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And now it's kind of just like,
yeah.
Basically.
Well, my dad introduced me to wrestling through him. So he watched NWA and he was very much into it. And then WWE let go of the fluff a little bit and started with the Attitude Era and then Ruthless Aggression. So when I was coming up, that's all I heard about was Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. And then when you get to be an adult and you hear like what really happened, it's just like, this is some bullshit. Like, what is, if he would just take ownership for his shitty behavior, I think people could just be like, okay, you got to make this right with the person you hurt. And then you got to do better from here on out. So you're making excuses and doubling down on it. And that's where people are having the problem. And it's just like, at this point, I give him the shit. If he wants it, let him have it. Nobody else is going to be able to do anything else with it besides NWA.
Yeah.
So if you want it, I give him the shit. Fuck it. Take it. It's tainted. What do you want me to do with it?
I mean, at this point, I don't think NWA would want anything to do with it either. They'd just be like, no, you need to stay away right now.
He's not sticking anything to them. WWE doesn't gain anything by keeping it.
And I wonder, they did that Treasures show. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they did that whole Treasure show where they held the whole episode where Rick went and found his robes and his boots and all this shit. And like, it sounded like WWE was getting ready to turn the warehouse into a museum that we could all come and visit. And with everything that's happened and them taking him off the intro and all that, I wonder if they're even going to display his shit or if they're just going to go stick it in storage somewhere. Like,
they're probably going to put his shit in storage. But you know what? Speaking of that damn museum, our friend Nicole, she's a co-host on the podcast too. So shout out to her and Janae. She's been saying that shit since we started this podcast.
Since
before
day one.
Before that, when I met her, she's been saying it. And if they do that, they owe that woman some money because she's been preaching that for the longest time. And I'm just like, all this stuff you guys have in this warehouse sitting there and it's not doing anything, you could have very well built a wing at Titan Tower that is nothing but the museum. And you could be making money hand over fist. People would just go to the museum before they would go to your shows.
I would.
Yeah.
I would have already gone. And now that I have a 1-year-old daughter, I would have been planning a trip to go back within a few years to take her to show her. Like, I would have gone multiple times. And you can rotate different things. Like, you've got so many wrestlers and such a legacy. Like, you can change the displays. Like, you don't have to have everything out all at once. So people have to keep coming back. Like, oh, Kane's going to be there this month. Like,
you own so much. Like, you own ECW's catalog and you own WCW's catalog. You got so much to display. And it's just, they're smart, but they're stupid at the same time.
I agree.
Understatement.
Also, apparently, Nia Jax has stated that as for now, she is done with wrestling.
All right, okay.
I don't blame her for that.
I've said on the show, unless you're Jackson Riker, I feel bad for, people who get released. Even Marie, I gave her the fucking tongue lashing of like the decade a couple episodes ago. But you know, like I feel bad because she kind of, it was like the same thing they did to Frankie. I guess they promised her all this stuff and then they made her move to be closer to whatever. And whatever, I don't have no love for that woman, but I do feel bad she lost her job. But not see, here's the thing, and Janae, shout out to Janae, she's the one who's like just been noticing like all these people who have, you know, they're like, oh Nia, you're such a great wrestler, oh Nia, you're this girl, you're so groundbreaking, when like what were they doing like a year ago? You can't wrestle, you're unsafe, you hurt people, you should be fired, only reason you're there is because you're the Rock and Roman's cousin, the only reason you're saved is because you're the Rock's cousin. Where all of a sudden
that
now
didn't
she's
work
like,
out.
she's the greatest thing ever, and WWE mistreated you so bad. Like, pick a lane and stay in it.
Well, yeah, because now everyone's got podcasts, so now they're trying to kiss her ass to get them to come on our podcast. Like,
Right? But you
like,
saw it too. I was like,
really,
Jesus.
Are you really gonna care what Nia Jax says? Like, I'd rather hear what Frankie or Taya Valkyrie is gonna say.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly think that Nia Jax will probably be back in a year or two. I think once they get their shit together, if they get their shit together, they're gonna call her and they're gonna smooth this shit over, and then she'll pop back up. That happened with Vega. You know what I'm saying? Vega left and she was talking about not going back and was going out and talking to the Screen Actors Guild president and doing all of that stuff, which I didn't have a problem with. I was like, get the ball rolling, do something. They need to do something to protect y'all. And then she ended up going back. They were able to smooth things over with her. Nia Jax isn't going to wrestle for any other wrestling company. If she comes back to wrestling, she's going back to WWE.
yeah,
100%.
because there's no way, and I understand it was a complete accident, but there's no way that they're gonna let someone who gave their biggest star at the time, who was like the hot storyline going into WrestleMania, where Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and Becky Lynch, and I get it was an accident, but at the same time, she really punched Becky and gave her a fucking concussion, because like to this day, Becky Lynch says, I don't remember anything that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I had to go back and rewatch it and I don't remember any of it. And she's just unsafe. And I couldn't watch any of her matches because like she would just be throwing these girls around, and I get it. That's the aspect of it. Like I'm 5'11", but I'm not as big as Nia. But I'm seeing her throw girls around and I'm like, she's gonna kill somebody. Like she looks so unsafe in that ring sometimes. But then I'm like, okay, I'm buying into like the anti-Nia Jax thing. But then I go back and I'm like, no,
sometimes she was. No, that's true. Sometimes she was. But there were a lot of people who can be unsafe at times. It would depend. Sometimes if you're unevenly matched, like that match with her and Kairi Sane, that was irresponsible what she did. So that was on Nia. But Nia, my issue with Nia started before all of this stuff with her getting fired. It was when she went after Ronda and was like, Ronda's unsafe with Alexa Bliss. I was like, well, you've been injuring a lot of people in matches, so you can't call it out and say one thing when you're doing the same thing. And you've been there longer than she has. So I'm like, turnabout is fair play, bro. You can't have it both ways. But at the same time, I didn't want her to get fired. I wanted her to be prepped better. So when she got in the ring, she had better ring awareness and she understood. She can listen to the cues. Your partner is supposed to be in there to protect you, and you're supposed to protect them. That's just the way that's supposed to work. So if she goes back, I want her to be mentally healthy, first of all.
Yeah.
So
That's a big
if
thing.
she goes back, I want her to be mentally ready to go back. And number two, I want her to be prepared. And that's all. I didn't want her to get fired. I wanted her to improve, because you don't see girls like Nia in wrestling, not in WWE.
Yeah.
You don't see them. So I wanted her to stay.
And that was one of the big things when we talked about it originally that you talked about, Katie, was the whole mental health aspect and her asking for her extension and how they handled it. So
yeah, she literally said, oh, I asked for these days off and they said permanent time off, bitch. There you go. Which that's so fucked. But
it is.
I've gone on too many rants about it.
I don't believe that you know, I mean, this whole, we've talked about this, Tiff. We've agreed there's some underlying thing, kind of like
Oh,
conspiracy.
probably.
Cue the
Yeah, somebody.
X-Files theme right now. But
Yeah.
there's some conspiracy going on in the back, and we don't want to put anything bad out there, but it's like
That's the truth.
certain people are getting into certain people's ear, and if those people don't understand how the business actually works, they're just like, yeah, you're right, they're not doing anything, just cut them.
Yeah,
Because they're just too random. And then you're not cutting people you're not using, you're cutting people who you just used. Like a week ago, you'll have Keith Lee on TV, and then the next week he's released. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's odd. And then you had feedback, you cut her. That destroyed Hit Row.
Killed it.
They tried to keep it going, and then you got rid of them right afterwards. And I was just like, something is not right here. Something's wrong. Somebody is pulling the strings. There's a puppet master back here that we don't see. Somebody's doing something, and they're putting names in the hat that shouldn't be put in there. Now, Jackson Riker and some of the rest of the names, I hate to say it, but like Leon Ruff and I'll go even further, and oh gosh, what is his name? There's a couple other names that I was just like, But when I heard Taya Valkyrie, and I'm looking at Hit Row with AJ Francis, you got rid of Swerve. I'm like, what are you doing? What is going on here?
And why call them up to fire them? Like,
just have them stay at NXT at that point. And it's just like, and then, we were watching that Battle Royal match that they had at Survivor Series. And no joke, we were watching it and we were naming off people who we hadn't seen on TV in like months. All of a sudden they showed up in this Rumble, or honestly, we forgot that they're there. Yeah. And I'm like, so they're here, but Ruby Riot's gone. They're here, but Hit Row's gone. They're here, but this person, like Taya Valkyrie's gone. They're here. And I'm just like that kind of made me turn off Survivor Series. Well, that in Survivor Series is just meh to me. But like that just made me so mad, because I'm like, you got these guys, like, no offense, Jinder Mahal could have went.
Blasphemy.
I mean, I would say Shanky could have gone. I don't know if I would cut Jinder.
Thank you.
Shanky could have gone. The other guy could go.
Beer's okay.
Omos can go, because
I agree with Omos.
Omos can go.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Omos, because so I was listening to your podcast, and when you talked about, you're actually legit almost 6 foot tall, because when they were talking about, I think it was Jungle Boy climbing you, I thought of AJ Styles climbing Omos. I thought about AJ Styles climbing Omos. That's what came to mind. So I did not know you were legit almost 6 foot tall.
Yeah, Alexis is very tall. She's the tallest girl in the group. She towers over all of us.
I'm taller than most of the wrestlers I like, so that's always been an issue for me. You're
taller than the majority of AEW. It's cool. And speaking of AEW, Big Swole is leaving AEW. It sounds mutual that she has decided to part ways with them. I know she has Crohn's disease and has been off for a little while, and also they haven't been using her, whether it was because of her Crohn's disease or whatever else, but she has decided to part ways. And also Beth Phoenix, after War Games this Sunday, is done with NXT.
Yeah,
as a commentator.
I think the Beth Phoenix thing is that she's gonna help Edge feud with Miz and Maurice.
Yeah, I also think she does want to be home with her kids. NXT films in Florida, so she has to be in Florida for that time frame, and that's a lot of time away from her kids. They got a home here in the States, but it's not in Florida. I recall it's in North Carolina. So you're like, you still have to travel. She still has a lot to do, and she's got 2 young girls, and I don't think she wants to miss out on raising them. If she does the stint with Edge for a small amount of time, she can leave that and go back to going home with her girls. So I don't blame her. I'd leave too. I want to be there for my kids when I decide to have them. I want to be there for my kids when they're growing up in their teen years. I want to have those mommy daughter fights. You can't wear that. No, you can't put that skirt on. It's too short. No songs. I want to do that. Like, she wants to do that with her kids. I say let her do it. At least she's leaving on her own and they're not firing her. Thank God.
Yeah.
Fire everybody else.
Fuck.
Jesus.
I think for the big swole thing, like AEW dropped the ball. Like this is one of the people they dropped the ball hard on so bad. And you know, I understand she has Crohn's, and I wouldn't wish that on maybe a couple ex-boyfriends, but not on like a whole lot of people.
No.
But you know, it's just like, but meanwhile, she's doing this, and you know, shout out to Big Swole, man. She's a mom, she's a pro wrestler, she goes through that. Like when Dark was actually good, they ran snippets of like people's backgrounds, and it's like they were talking about, she was saying like how the Crohn's was affecting her, and she may never be a mom. And then like one day, her and Cedric were like, "Guess what? We're gonna be parents. Like this is cool." And you know, but she also has titles in other companies.
Yeah.
And she's been out there busting her ass, working her ass, defending these titles, doing what she needs to do. But meanwhile, on AEW, we're seeing the same women over and over and over again. And when we told Tony Khan, because we have preached this from day one, we want to see diversity. We want to see your women's division. And I love Thunder Rosa, don't get me wrong. But why wasn't Swole, who's had history with Britt before, not challenging her for that AEW title?
True.
Yeah, like
Makes
on
sense.
TV, not like during the pandemic. She had a cinematic match with her, which was good. I actually watched it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But after that, they just pushed her to dark, which is where they push a lot of people.
I don't watch Dark. I don't watch Dark Elevation. I consider it non-canon. I don't have the time to watch 2 shows on YouTube and then 5 shows of wrestling a week. I stopped watching NXT UK, which I enjoyed because I don't have the time anymore to do that and then spend time with my family and do other shit. And if I've got to choose between Dynamite and Rampage or Dark and Dark Elevation, you're getting the boot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem, because what happens is now you're getting the CM Punks and the Elite with the Adam Coles, and you'll get, now you'll have Paige, which thank God he's canceled. I'm sorry. I like Paige, and I've advocated for Paige to be champion since they started AEW.
Oh, we all been going for Paige since like day one, man. We all have.
And they have all these people, and yeah, they have their household names and their homegrown talent, but they got a lot of ex-WWE guys coming in and taking over this time, which in turn is pushing some of your homegrown talent to the back, and they're going to Dark and Elevation. And on occasion, they pop up on Rampage, and you're a fan of wrestling and you're not watching those shows. That's the problem. That's where the issue is coming in. Most of the people that need to be seen and be pushed so you can have an influx of homegrown talent are on those 2 shows. And I've watched Dark and Dark Elevation because my husband watches it. And I'll sit here and I'm like, what are you doing? He said, I'm watching Dark. I'm like, why the hell are you watching that? What are you doing? I'm sitting here watching it. Sometimes they have very good shows. And then Dark... Go ahead.
No, I said when Dark first came out, I used to tell Tiff and Nicole, I'm like, Dark's the better show. By far, it is the better show because you're seeing the people you want to see. It was only an hour, or like 45 minutes to an hour, and they were showing you the people you wanted to see. Like at that point, I really liked Jimmy Havoc before all that shit came out about him. And, you know, that was the only time I was seeing him was on Dark. So I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to watch Dynamite if the people I want to see are on Dark. And then they start bringing the people to Dynamite, and then they get called out for being a shitty person, and you're just like, choke and die, you know, like, I mean, it's, we were all talking one night, and it's just like, I think Nicole is the one that called it, that Swole was going to be one of the first people to leave.
Yeah, she said Swole, and then she said MJF would be the next one.
They're going to keep MJF as long as possible because they know when his contract is up, people are going to be clamoring for him.
I think he's going to walk too. I'm being honest.
My money's on Brian Cage to be next.
Yeah.
That wouldn't, you know what? That wouldn't surprise me either.
That one I'm okay with it. I'm on board with that. But I'm like, even though Brian Cage probably will be the next one, you're more than likely 100% right. I feel like the biggest one that's going to leave is MJF. He's gone.
Well, see, I mean, WWE's not going to give him the freedom to say the shit he says on the mic over there.
That's for damn sure.
He's going to have to pull a Stone Cold. Like, that's the only way he's going to be able to do it. Stone Cold didn't get freedom to say what he wanted to say. He went out there and did it, and it got over. They didn't have any choice.
And
so,
if they put him on Raw, you know, if that ever happens, if he goes to Raw, they can put him on after like 9 or 9:30, because like I got a 7-year-old and she's in bed by like 8:30. She wants to watch Raw so bad, but she ends up falling asleep through it. And I'm like, me too, child, me too.
Well,
I just like my thing with Big Swole is like I want to see Big Swole. I want to see Red Velvet. I don't want to see Tay Conti. I don't want to see Allie. I actually want to see people who have talent.
I think Tay Conti has talent.
I don't.
I can't get into her, and I'm not saying it like a bad thing. Like I'm not saying, oh, she's the worst wrestler ever, because she can always, like, to me, she's just not on my radar.
Right.
But why on God's green earth you have all that awesome talent back there, but you're pushing Allie?
That I agree with. Allie, I'd never watched Impact, but I was kind of excited for Allie because I'd heard a lot about her. So when I was like, all right, this would be cool, she'll be someone good for the division. I have not really enjoyed anything I've seen out of her in the little bit of wrestling that she's done there. So
yeah,
she's taken that Ariana Grande cover off that one album and made it her whole personality.
Jesus Christ.
We'll start shortest to tallest. So Tiffany, where do you want to start? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Rampage, or Dynamite?
Just because I don't watch Rampage and Dynamite enough to have a say so on that, I'm gonna skip those two. And I just watched SmackDown, so we can start with SmackDown.
All right, so we kick SmackDown off with the Brock Lesnar promo. Sammy comes out like an idiot and decides to interrupt Brock Lesnar because who the fuck does that? Brock then manipulates Sammy in kind of like a weird, coercive, almost threatening, and oddly sexual way. Like, you should have that match tonight. You want to have that match tonight? Let's have that match tonight. You should have that match tonight. Sammy's like, yeah, okay, yes. It felt very non-consensual.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Then Sammy runs to the back to Sonya and he's like, listen, so I told Brock yes, but I don't really want to do this. So can we get out of this? And Sonya's like, oh, absolutely. Oh, hi, Brock. Yeah, we're gonna have that match. And Sammy was fucked. Sasha defeated Shayna because apparently WWE forgot that Shotzi existed, which would be number 1 on my one night stand list, by the way. Yes. Sonya tells Adam about the match and that she made with Brock and them, and Adam decides, well, you know what, if Brock's gonna be there, maybe I'll just stay home and jerk off. Like, I don't think I'm gonna come. Happy Talk sucks. Drew comes out, points his giant metaphorical dick at Corbin, and then Corbin gets a twist of fate.
I swear to
God,
runs
down.
Metaphorical dick.
Yes.
No, for real. That's what it reminded me of. I was doing commentary on Instagram tonight, and I was sitting here, and I'm like, I feel like he's pointing a pork sword at him. I don't like it. It's not. I was like, come on, Drew. I like you, but Jesus, put your dick away.
Yep.
Just hold it. You know, just holster that shit.
Was this
waving that shit around?
Was this grown ass man really wearing a romper?
A romper?
Yes.
Like
yes, he was.
Baron Corbin.
I thought it was a shirt and shorts, but I didn't know it was a romper.
I just saw like his legs.
I don't like Baron Corbin's legs. I'm not a fan of
his legs. Baron Corbin's legs. Than mine.
Okay, I don't like it. Now his tattoos aren't bad. They're actually pretty dope. So I'll give him credit for that. But fuck that. I don't want to see your legs, bro. Put your legs away.
You can get into Baron Corbin's legs more when we get to the spits. I'll let you spit his legs. But after the fact, shit got all Magic Mike when Jeff and Drew just started stripping and dancing in the ring and putting on hats.
Wait, what happened?
Yes, it did. It so did. It did.
They just took their shirts off and they picked up the hats and put them on, and Jeff did a little dance that was kind of weird.
See, this is why I fuck with Matt, because he's right there with me. He's right there with me.
We got Xia Li next week. We got another comic book vignette about her being a superhero. Viking Raiders lose to Los Lotharios because Bugamora tries to distract the Los Lotharios but fails. And then, as it looks like the Viking Raiders are going to fuck up Bugs and Nakamura, Bugs is like, oh, hey, let me play your song on guitar and don't hurt me. And then they didn't. We got an interview with Two-Pie Tony about her double cream pie last week. The Usos promo. They come out, they blow Roman and mock Sammy a little bit. And then we find out that the Hand of the King is back. So out comes Kofi to join Xavier. The match ends in DQ. The New Day beat down the Usos. Then we go back. Roman Reigns is not happy by his lack of intel from the wise man and says he's going to go out there and just smash everyone tonight. And every time he talks about smashing someone, it feels very, very sexual to me.
That whole thing where, I'm sorry, but it's like any guy or woman, I'm just gonna throw that out there too, who was like, acknowledge me. That is some small dick energy. I'm sorry. I love Roman. I love it when he shows up on my TV and I love staring at him. But bruh, you keep saying to me, acknowledge me. That's like when you're in the middle of the deed and the guy's like, yeah, acknowledge me. And you're just like, shut the fuck up and get me off for fuck's sake at this point. Like, it's been 30 minutes. What the fuck are you doing?
So the New Day challenged the Usos for the tag titles at day one. We got a Charlotte promo. She comes out talking a lot of the same shit she says every week and then declines Tony's challenge. But Tony shows up and creep pies Charlotte, which is nice. A little payback from last week. Sheamus defeats Cesaro in a damn good match. Then Naomi goes up to Sonya, challenges Sonya. Sonya accepts, but says, you can only fight me when I take the suit off. As long as I've got the suit on, I'm still your boss. Then slaps the glow out of Naomi, who almost hit her. But Sonya told her, if you hit me, not only are you not getting the match, I'm going to fire your ass because I'm still your boss. I'll get into it when we get into the swallows. And then in our main event, of course, Sami Zayn loses to Roman Reigns because Sammy comes out and does Sammy shit and says stupid shit to Brock Lesnar and gets fucked up by Brock Lesnar. And then Roman comes out and finishes off Sami Zayn for the pin. What are we swallowing from SmackDown?
Me personally,
Cesaro's match with Sheamus. Like Cesaro's match with Sheamus was fire. I always liked when they wrestled. Sheamus has great chemistry with Cesaro and with Drew, and they generally put on banger matches. So I follow that.
I'm with you on that. What were you saying, Alexis?
Jeff's little magic mic dance. I love Jeff Hardy.
Oh,
I love Jeff Hardy.
So there are two people on this podcast that I absolutely despise, and that would be Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle. I will not allow any nice things to be said about Matt Riddle on this podcast.
I'll blame you. Good.
We got banned on blocked on Twitter by him and Lisa.
Yeah, because he's a little bitch.
Yeah, they can take it, but or they can throw it out. They just can't take it.
Yep. Hashtag Ritter over Riddle because always. Motherfucker tried to take my name.
No way.
Katie, what are you swallowing?
Xia Li. Matt, come on now.
Because you wanted to kick you in the face?
Yes.
Don't we all want to kick us in the face?
Thank you. I'm glad when people agree with me on this.
I'm more of a let her choke me out with her thighs sort of guy, but
that too.
In the face works.
That's gonna happen after I get kicked in the face. There's a process here, Matt. Come on.
You gotta work your way up to the choking.
Yeah. Exactly. You can't just go right into it. You gotta work your way up. Yes. Fair. See, they get it, Matt. They get it.
They do. I'm swallowing Naomi and Sonya because
hell yeah.
As long as when they have this match, Naomi beats the living shit out of Sonya Deville. Like after all of this disrespect and all of this shit that's been going on, I don't want to see a match. I don't want to see headlocks and rear views, even though I love the rear view. I want to see Naomi beat the living dog shit out of Karen Deville. Like just whoop her ass.
I 100% agree.
I just I don't care. At that point, I would just throw in a checkbook and be like, write your own fucking one and just start wailing on her.
No, I would that. Period. If I can't hit you, then you can't hit me either. But technically, I would have just stripped her out of her suit. Since she can't be in the suit, I just took her shit off if she's going to hit me like that.
I don't like the idea like you have dual GMs on both shows.
Yep.
And of course, we all know, like, honestly, to me, SmackDown's the better show, even though they keep losing fucking Survivor Series every goddamn year. But that's a whole other story for another day. But it's like over on SmackDown, they have no control in their locker room. It's like kind of like that on Raw, but they have the superstars are like no respect for the general managers, and honestly, they're just like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna fuck with you. Like,
yeah, no, they don't give a shit about these, and you can't have authority figures that have no authority, or that no one respects their authority, because then it's just pointless.
Exactly.
Are we swallowing anything else from SmackDown?
Kofi coming back?
I mean, yeah, I was happy to see Kofi. I love Kofi and Xavier. I'm on the fence about seeing them compete against each other again, because we've seen New Day versus the Usos many times over, and
but it's
the New Day
always
wins,
a banger.
And they have no other real good tag teams.
that's true.
It is, but it's like they'll be a 12-time champion, and while I love it, and I'm happy for them, and I'm gonna be biased because I'm black and they black, so that's just the real true tea. I'm sorry, but it's true. So I'm fine with it. But if I were, I would have, I don't know, I would have figured out another way to do this so that it didn't. So it's not always just those two.
Yeah,
I would have balanced it somehow. And
I'm just all here for when they beat down the Usos like the bitches they were. Like, it's
not my distinguished twin.
You gotta pick one. Come on now.
No, they're both fine. Mind your business. Mind your business. That's what you do. You mind your business.
I just it's because like I'm like, I guess I can call this a spit, but like I'm tired of the Usos. How can I say this? Usos are badasses. We all know this. And it's just real, it puts a real sour taste in my taste in my mouth. That, yeah, I got puns for days.
Which is why you spit. I get it.
They come out and they're dominant, they're all this, and now they join the bloodline and they're pretty much just Roman's bitches.
Well, yeah.
And I can't stand that when they do that to characters who are like, strong characters on their own. And they're like, well, we're going to take everything away that made you special. And you're just going to be like your cousin's bitch, or your cousin's bitches all over again. And I'm just like, well, what's the point of it then?
Well, at first it was just Jay, but you kind of saw his breakdown, which, to WWE's credit, they did do a good job of doing that. They did tell that story properly.
Yeah, but they fucked up Jimmy.
They did, because they kind of went from Jimmy being the antagonist of like, I'm not fucking doing that, to him just falling in line immediately. It was there was no lead up to that at all. I was like, okay, we're gonna get a Jimmy versus Roman match. Okay, cool. Nah, it was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna join the bloodline. It was very reminiscent of what happened with Nikki and Brie Bella when Nikki turned on her sister and cost her a match against Stephanie, and Brie just kind of fell in line after that. There really wasn't no breakdown or nothing for that. She was just like, well, she's my sister. And I was like, bitch, I don't give a fuck like that. I was talking about your husband, calling him a goat, and she poured a shake. What was it, a smoothie on your head? Like, she was humiliating you. I'm like, at least get an ass whooping in first before you just be her.
Exactly.
Well, I think that was a good. Oh, go ahead.
No, it wasn't good, and that's what they did with Jimmy. But I feel like, as far as Jay goes, they did it right. But Jimmy, they did.
Let's get into our spits then, since we kicked it off with that. What else are we spitting from the show?
Happy Corbin.
The whole Brock Lesnar segment, because it was weird, and it was like non-consensual sex, and I was just like, ooh, like, this is very off-putting. I don't like it. I was like, hurry up. I just muted it because I couldn't take the back and forth of it anymore. So
Okay.
I'm spitting that. I don't even want to put that in my mouth. I'm not.
I'm gonna spit out Baron Corbin just because
Yes.
I have this weird relationship when it comes to Baron Corbin. I think he's a very attractive man. Like, he falls in my wheelhouse. But shut up. I think he's a good looking guy, but his character just annoys the apps. It's not even like heel heat. It's just like, go home and think about your life heat.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all of his characters.
And I mean, it's like, you got heels that can do that, but that's the only thing he's got. I'm also gonna spit because I know it's gonna be probably premature. Again, but I really don't like the idea that we're gonna have Roman versus Brock again. And I have this really sick feeling that Brock is going to beat Roman.
What?
I don't know. I have this, because what is the point? They put up this, they have guys like Drew back there. God, who else do they have on SmackDown that could be?
Not a lot. Drew.
Not a lot.
Jeff
Cesaro,
Hardy.
if you push him hard enough.
Yes, Cesaro's back there.
I would rather have seen Cesaro versus Roman.
Yep.
Well, we already saw that.
Well, I want to see it again because I'd rather see that than Brock versus Roman again.
I mean,
and it's just like Roman has been champion for a year.
Yeah.
For a year, yeah.
I don't like long title runs because I have a feeling we're gonna have another year of Becky being champion again, and I'm not a big fan of that because they haven't built anybody else up.
Hoping for Liv.
They got
what? You're hoping for Liv?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hope.
I know it is. I know it is.
At this point, I don't care, but it's just like, I'm tired of the same people having the belts. I'm tired of long title reigns, and then I'm tired of title reigns that don't mean shit. And it's like, that's what, and it just looks like the major companies are doing across the board. And it's just like, get your shit together, because Roman's had the title enough. And then I saw this on Twitter today, and it just made me, today's been a crap day. So I just saw this and it kind of made me just check off. And it's just like, Roman's going to be champion for is going to be champion for 2 years, or some stupid shit like that. And I'm just like, fuck off. Like, it's just like, when you just hit the wall on shit, like when you read stupidity, you're just like, I can't with you anymore. I'm pretty sure Tiff does that at least 3 times a week with me. But I don't like that idea, because if they only have Brock back there and they've only been focusing on Brock versus Roman, and Roman's been plowing through everybody, the only other option is Drew.
Yeah.
He is the only one.
Drew had the title, and no offense to Drew McIntyre, but he had the title all through 2020. He had it twice.
He did.
He did.
And then like Bobby Lashley had it this year, or like earlier this year, which I'm not a huge Bobby Lashley fan, but I think it was very overdue for him to get that title.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiff hates Bobby Lashley, but she was saying the same thing. She's like, he has deserved this title for a while now, and he finally got it, and he had a decent run with it. Like, shout out to everybody who really thought the Miz was going to be champion going into WrestleMania. Like, how are y'all doing?
Not good now.
Really not. Y'all are still salty, and he lost Dancing with the Stars. So
well, that's just it.
I mean, I don't like where that's going, because that's what's gonna happen. And then there's gonna be people. This is a thing I love / hate about wrestling fans. Everyone's gonna be on Drew's dick to win the title from Roman, and then when he does, everyone's gonna turn against him
and say he's boring and they're tired of it and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Every time.
Every single time.
Fucking saying he's my tribal chief and bullshit like that, and I'm like, you ain't my tribal chief. First off, I'm white as shit. I ain't part of nothing. Second, Samoa Joe is my tribal chief, so okay.
Jesus Christ.
I'm spitting everything Baron Corbin as well.
Always.
Him and Madcap Moss drive me fucking insane. I'm also going to spit everything that Charlotte said up until the point she got cream pied. Like I enjoyed the cream pie, but everything prior to the cream pie, I did not enjoy because it's just the same shit Charlotte says every week when she comes out.
Of course.
Same shit she's named for years, but
yeah. Overall, SmackDown, spit or swallow.
If we had to go overall, it's more spitting than it is swallowing.
You can always gargle undecidedly if you're in the middle.
I'm
I
gargling.
gargle. Oh, geez. Actually, contrary, I actually like Shayna. Not Shayna and Sasha's match. It was a little sloppy in the beginning. Like they couldn't get out the blocks a little bit, but for the most part, it was okay. The chemistry's a little off, but it's not bad. So I mean, if I had to gargle anything, it would be Kofi's return. Oh jeez. Sonya and Naomi's back because I was really pissed about that. I didn't like that shit. And then I like Cesaro and Sheamus' match. Everything else, I'm spitting. Okay. It wasn't a good show.
So you're gargling overall or?
I'll gargle.
Okay. Yeah, I can go with that. I forgot I'm spitting the fact that Shotzi wasn't on my TV and hasn't been for 2 weeks.
Come on,
and
now.
I will spit every week that Shotzi's not on my TV because it's some bullshit.
Gonna be a lot of weeks probably.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna swallow because I did enjoy Sami Zayn getting the Michael Cole Heidenreich treatment.
Stop
at the beginning of the show.
Stop it.
Oh my god.
Stop. God damn it, Matt.
Oh, just wait till we talk about Joe Wayne Gacy. Just wait.
No.
Alexis, overall, spit or swallow?
I'll say gargle because it did have high points, but all in all, I mean, it just wasn't good.
Where do you want to go next? Raw, NXT, Dynamite, or Rampage?
Rampage is weird because it's just basically the CM Punk show. So we can go over Dynamite like super quick.
Okay. Here it is. Dynamite. Evil Tree Seaman Danielson defeats Anal Angels. We got the champ on commentary. Brian Danielson says that he knocked out Colt's tooth, snapped Alan Angel's MCL, and next week in Long Island, he's going to hurt another member of the Dark Order. Then taunts Hangman, who's ready to fight, but Tiny Hands comes down and says, whoa, hold on. You're not allowed to hit him or you're going to get fined and suspended. So I'll go hit him, and then runs his tiny little legs as fast as he can to get down to the ring, slides in. But Tree Seaman leaves, says not worth his time, even though they're fighting next week anyway in Long Island. That's who he's fighting. We got a vid package from Miro. We got Lee Moriarty losing to CM Punk with MJF on commentary. After the match, MJF in his Hanukkah suit insults Punk, basically keeps repeating the fact that he thinks Punk's trying to fuck Britt Baker, calls him one pump chump. Punk says that QT and Lee Marshall are better than MJF and tells him to bring his needle dick down to the ring. And we get another needle dick chant, which is my favorite chant in all of wrestling. MJF declines, says he'll be more over next week in Long Island than Punk ever was in Chicago, and threatens to kill his dog because apparently he's never seen John Wick. And yeah, no, that's just a no-no.
Why are you talking about people's dogs, Max? What the fuck?
Yeah. We got a Britt interview. She's disgusted she had to fight Riho. JB and Britt both lost to Thunder Rosa and kind of pick on each other about that. And then we find out we get Jamie versus Riho next week. Adam Cole comes out for commentary, trash talking Tony, finally, because he's been basically a cuck to Tony Schiavone this entire time. OC comes out, gets in Cole's face. Then the Bucks show up. It's a 3-on-1 beatdown. And then I'm calling them the average at best friends because it took them fucking forever to show up and save Orange Cassidy, which was really, really annoying to me. We got a Tony Nese promo for his match on Rampage against Sammy. Wardlow has an enhancement match. And then Cassie Lee's husband hits the jobber with a chair for shits and giggles after the match because that was a thing. The Gun Club lose to Darby and Sting. Jericho does an interview, says he wasn't there to help Kingston. He was there to beat down 2.0. Then he gets beat down, and apparently the Inner Circle just doesn't give a fuck about Jericho anymore because they didn't show up to help him or do anything about it. Leo Rush addresses Team Taz, says, I'm a fighter. I'm not going down without a fight. Jade and Mark Sterling have a promo with Thunder Rosa on commentary for Jade against Janai Kai. They announced for Rampage. Chris Statlander, who has fastly moved up my one night stand list. I don't know what it is about her lately, but she looks fantastic. Loses to Ruby Soho. Ruby moves on in the TBS title tournament. And then our main event, Andrade loses to Cody because
oh Lord.
This is yeah.
Because T-Pain was at ringside to support Cody, which I do not understand, but Brandy comes in and lights a table on fire. Then Cody puts himself through the table and musters all of the white privilege to then still pin the guy that did not go through the flaming table to get the win. Because that is the only explanation is how a man can put himself through a flaming table and then still pin the other guy
while still on fire.
I mean, he's Homelander, so that's what
exactly. It's the power of white privilege that saved this match for Cody Rhodes.
100%.
What are we swallowing from Dynamite?
I'll let you guys have that one.
I'm going with the MJF Punk thing. I'm not a big fan that he threatened his dog, but you know, I like MJF. He's a fucking gremlin and a half. And I really do. I really like, I mean, he is such a good heel. There's like, you know, those guys that could never be faces or in-betweeners.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is that heel. He is that heel
100%.
guy. He'll never be able to change his gimmick. I want to punch him, but I also want to kiss him. Like, I don't understand.
Ew, God.
Damn.
Rat boy, motherfucker, and I'm like anarchist over here. Like, I don't know, but
He's got so much personality. You don't care about the needle dick. Like, that's cool.
yeah, that might come into play later. Anyway,
Ew.
but I mean,
He's like, ew.
Tiff is grossed out because we did that. That was the second version of One Night Stands that we've done.
He picked him on the other one.
I picked him on the original list, and I don't know, but there's just something. There's something, I don't know if it's just his charisma or like, I don't know. I think it's more like he never breaks character. Like, no matter what, like anytime there's a camera in front of him or he's wrestling, he never breaks character.
You just reminded me of something. I wanted to address something. If there was one guy on my one night stand list, I want to be clear, it would be Dexter Lumis, and I was a little hurt by all of the Dexter Lumis slander that I heard on that show, because I would happily.
That was not slander.
Listen, I would happily let him chain me up in his basement. He looks like a gentle and attentive lover. I bet he's a great big spoon. I really do. He looks very cuddly. That would be the only man on my list if there was one.
Okay, in our defense, right? So our co-host Janae was infatuated with Dexter Lumis for a year straight.
I understand why.
We used to pick at her because Dexter Lumis is a serial killer. He is. So they get on me because I picked Homelander. So
that's true. You did.
Whatever.
Oh,
so I mean, hey,
Brandy Rhodes down here.
Hey.
Oh,
Jesus.
Hey,
Jesus. That's
hurt.
fucked, Matt. That's so fucked up. Don't disrespect Tiffany like that.
I'm sorry. I
at least
apologize.
Tiff has a personality.
True.
Oh,
Very
geez.
true.
Yeah.
Very
So
true.
we just pick at her, and she backed off of Dexter, and we were kind of surprised because she talked about him. Well, she used to constantly, and I was like,
Oh,
he's not on the list. And Alexis was like, where's your serial killer? And she's like, I just moved on. I'm like, what? No, you
Well,
did.
I have not. So
It's just funny because we make fun of each other. Like the three of them don't understand why I love Samoa Joe. Like, I love that man. He's on the same level as my husband when it comes to me loving him.
She has a certain aesthetic, and she pretty much stays in that wheelhouse. But when we do these top fives, she always throws a Joker in there somewhere, and you're just like, Alexis, what the fuck is this? This isn't this is not the list. What are you doing? He's like, I was thinking about it, and this is a little thing I want to try. I'm like, no, you can't try that. Go back to your list.
No.
Like, stay with the Sami Callahan and the Joes. Don't move from that.
I am an advocate for trying whatever you want as many times as you want. So you mix up your list as much as you need to. I understand. I had a hard time. Like, I was thinking I had a hard time just picking 5. After I listened to you guys, I'm like, who would my 5 be? Like, I had a hard time, but we're still on Dynamite. Are we swallowing anything else from Dynamite?
Just Chris Jericho getting his ass beat.
I'll swallow that.
That was a fun time.
Yeah, that's it for me, I think.
Statlander, Ruby. I liked the match. I had a feeling Ruby was gonna win, and because I think it's gonna come down to her and Jade for the finals. Yeah. But I wouldn't have been mad if Statlander won too. Like, it was just one of those things where I liked the match. I didn't care who was gonna win. I did like the Lee Moriarty Punk match just because Lee Moriarty's from Pittsburgh, so shout out, and the fact that he actually he's respected Punk, and he's told Punk that's the reason he started wrestling. He used one of Punk's moves on him, so it was just a whole kind of full circle thing. And Punk has been hit or miss with these matches. I enjoyed that one more than some of the other ones, so okay. I will swallow that.
With you on that. I think you guys swallowed everything I want to swallow. What are we spitting? Obviously, I'm spitting fucking Cody Rhodes, Homelander, mustering up all of the white privilege in the world to defy a flaming table to win that fucking match against Andrade.
That was just bullshit.
I don't understand.
So, okay, Janae sent us the clip, and then I was watching because everyone's got to post it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, Brandy, you talk about being this is my issue with Brandy Rhodes. She talks about she's been in the business so long, but it's if you're in the business so long and you know your husband is about to do some dumbass stunt again because that's all he can do, don't you move the table a little bit further?
Yeah.
So I'm not a physics major. I'm going to school for computers, so I don't know anything about physics and gravity and all that. But I have watched enough professional wrestling to know that you have to have the table set up in the proper position for the right person to go through it.
Yeah.
Or my thought was maybe just not do an inverted suplex. Do a different move.
It was the move. It would have mattered if she would have not. He still would have went through that table.
Yeah, Andrade didn't go through it all. It was only Cody in that table.
And if he had, he would have gone face first into the fire.
And that's fucking scary. And then he's trying to hit Andrade, and you can see it because the camera's trying to cut away super fast. Andrade sees that he's on fire, and he's trying to get up on top of Andrade. And Andrade, I don't know if he was trying to do something else, or it looked like he was trying to smack, take the gloves and smack Cody, trying to get the fire out. Because I'd be you're on fire, asshole. Don't lay on top of me.
Yeah, get the fuck off me. What are you doing?
And then it's just this is the ultimate spit. I can't anymore with Cody Rhodes going out there wanting people to like him so bad that he's willing to kill himself on national TV over and over again just to get ratings. What's
and
gonna
Brandy too chicken shit to tell him no.
Yeah,
that's the reality. You just gotta say no. Don't fucking do that. Why? First of all, the crowd is halfway with you and halfway against you. And from what I see online, they're more against him than they are for him. The man left Twitter, completely left it. So I was like, okay, if this is where you are, why not just go full on heel and just ride that shit out? Why are you trying to be the savior? You literally are the epitome of what Homelander is. He wants to be worshipped and praised, but he's an asshole. And we all know that.
because Mr. Warren Hayes talked about this. Maybe he is doing that because the thing about Homelander is so self-absorbed that he doesn't realize that people think he's a piece of shit.
I think Cody knows that.
Oh, I know Cody knows, but maybe he's still trying to be that baby face as like part of the character.
At this point, when a fan throws your belt back at you.
Shout out to Chicago.
Like, they threw it back at him. Like, I've never seen that. That took me out. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I know this is punk country, okay? Everybody knows that. Fine. But, like, they'll take, like, a T-shirt from anybody. Most bands will take a T-shirt. They'll take whatever you throw out there. Like, they were like...
I was about to say that. The 3 towns of wrestling fans that I just love that the fact that they don't give a fuck is Philly, Chicago, and New York. Those are like the 3 places that just don't seem to give a fuck. Now, what the guy did at Barclays Center, no, I don't support that. But the fact that they're loud, they know, like, you know, as long as they're not like fucking being assholes, but they're loud, they get their, you know, they don't hold back, and I can respect that. But once y'all start jumping out of chairs and trying to jump people and shit,
too far. Know your rule.
I don't understand. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Cody, I'm sorry you didn't get what you thought you deserved when you were in WWE, but you don't deserve that now.
Oh God, we thank you.
He is a glorified wannabe stuntman that's doing shit that Mick Foley is like, hold up.
Alexis.
And the fact of the matter is, Foley and Edge did that spot 100 times better with Lita than Brandy, Andrade, and Cody did.
Oh God.
That's my issue with AEW as a whole. Is one of the issues I have with them is that, and we've talked about this. How many times have we talked about this, Tiff?
Too many times to count.
Exactly. It's the stunt queen antics and tactics that they use to get like a swell of viewers. It's like the whole, and then or they're just not being safe, like that whole Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy situation, where that whole situation was horrible. Everyone, like, that doctor should have been fired. Like, just like, it was so, I mean, I should not hear Matt Hardy's head connect to concrete.
No.
It's been a year and I still think of that, and I just got myself goosebumps, like, not in a good way.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. I know a lot of people give WWE shit for them being overly produced, but I sometimes would prefer that than to watch a wrestler get injured. Like, there was a match a while back where somebody got knocked out and they just wrestled over him. And I was just like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So no one's gonna stop the match. Like, the ref didn't put up the X, they didn't do anything. They didn't try to pull him out of the ring. Nobody did anything. They literally jumped over him and kept wrestling. He had the wherewithal to get over. Then they pulled him out. Then they checked on him. And I'm like, you could have killed him. Like, one of you guys could have stepped on him. You could have fell on him. Anything could have happened and he could have been gone. That shit would have been on live television. It's just, that kind of stuff it makes you feel like you don't have any care for your superstars. And all you care about is what they can do and not necessarily care about them. And I don't like that. I feel like you should be more protective of how you're doing your stunts. If you can't get it off to where it's going to be safe, then you don't need to do it. Don't do it.
And then what's going to happen? Like, you have that amazing Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match, which is like, they're headlining it to be like the first time women have ever headlined the main evented, Dynamite. Yeah, they can do a lot more if you give them the one slot at 9:30 at night. They can do a lot of things.
I am going to be honest here. I don't care. There's nothing that they can do because their audience is not going to enjoy it. There are going to be some people, Matt and Katie are one of them. They're going to watch the women. They're going to watch the men. You're going to watch the women. You're going to watch the men. We're going to watch it all. But their core audience is not going to watch that. That's why the women aren't there. and that's just the reality of it. They're not. They didn't structure the company to be inclusive when they started. So now that they're at the pinnacle and they're at millions of views, or at least at a bare minimum, they're at 800,000 plus views a week. What the fans expect is what they've been giving, which is a bunch of white men, no shade, on screen.
Oh no, we talk about it every week.
It's a bunch of white men wrestling, and there's not a lot of inclusivity. You got Sonny Kiss back there, one of the best wrestlers you've got back there. Fun, energetic, high flying, hella speed, athletically gifted, naturally, just one of the best. You rarely see him, and he's not on Dynamite, and he's not on Dark. You rarely see him on Elevation.
He was actually, I think he'll be on the next episode of Dark. I think I saw someone post something about Joey Janela pile driving him through a table on Dark, but
and Joey Janela had this whole ass.
Are they still feuding? I thought that feud was over.
No, they're starting it back up again.
Jesus Christ! I mean,
a feud that they could use on Dynamite, because
that's another thing that leads back to Swole though. Swole was another one stuck in limbo of Dark and Dark Elevation, and then on occasion they might pop her up. And during the pandemic, she was seen regularly, which that doesn't sit well with me. When there's no audience, then you want to put your guys out there that are the ones that are holding down Dark for you. When the audience come back, then you want to switch back to your regular format. So it just goes back to what I originally said. It's not going to work out for them if they do it the way some of the fans want. We want inclusivity. Right. We want to see a wide variety of wrestlers. If they do this, they're going to lose their core audience, and they're going to drop in numbers, and they're just not going to do it.
And that's why we talked about how we weren't sure we wanted to see Keith Lee go there, because we don't know if they're actually going to use him or feature him, and why Young Kings does a once a month audit on whether or not or how often black wrestlers are actually used, and then the win-loss percentages that you see on TV. We got to move on from Dynamite though. So overall, Dynamite, spit or swallow?
Spit.
Oh God. I didn't watch it, so I can't. I didn't watch it, so I don't have a spit or swallow. I'm not going to do anything. There's going to be no dick in my mouth today. So go ahead.
Metaphorical wrestling dick. I think I'd swallow the first half, spit the second half, so I'm probably going to gargle.
Yeah, I'm just going to gargle it.
Yeah. Tiffany, Raw, NXT, or do you just want to run Rampage real quick?
I mean, Rampage is the shortest, so you can run that really quickly.
All right, we kick it off. Sammy Gavarro defeats Tony Nese for the TNT title for whatever reason. Christian and Jurassic Express have a promo. Christian basically says, I'm going to make sure that they're tag team champions before I die. If it's the last thing I do, they'll be tag team champions. Jade ends up defeating Janai Kai. We got Thunder Rosa on commentary, and as Jade starts beating down Janai, Rosa comes down. They start brawling, and they're pulled apart. We got a super clip promo. Adam and the Cucks challenge the best friends, the average at best friends. And then in our main event, FTR take on Death Triangle. Malachi Black shows up and blows his load directly into Pac's good eye, taking that out. FTR ends up ripping off Penta's mask after the match, and Malachi comes in and just starts digging his thumb into Pac's eye, and then Pac is bleeding from the eye with blood all over Malachi's hands, and that's how we go off air for Rampage.
Now that's how you fucking in a show. God damn.
Yep.
Right.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So I'm swallowing the FTR Death Triangle match.
That's the only thing I'm swallowing for Rampage.
Damn.
Because it was so fucking good.
Wow.
Everything else is just kind of for me. Like, I'm not really spitting anything.
Just there.
I'm kind of sad I missed that FTR match. I want to go back and watch.
That is worth going back and watching.
100%.
Malachi Black freaks me out, but I'll watch it. Just to see that.
See, now that's my wheelhouse. Like Malachi Black, The Fiend, Shotzi. That's my wheelhouse right there. If you can't tell from my background.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm only
swallowing just because that match.
Yeah.
It's the only reason.
Okay. I'll follow the team.
There we go.
I'll swallow that. Like that's if you want to end on a high note on like a holy shit moment, that's how you do it.
That's exactly how you do it.
All right, Raw or NXT? Where we going?
We're going to NXT because Raw sucks.
Okay. We kick it off. Dakota Kai loses to Kaylee Ray for the War Games advantage match. NXT basically kicks off with a lot of girl-on-girl violence before the match from both teams. They're just brawling before we get going. Team EO does get the advantage with Kai getting the win. Cameron Grimes defeats Andre Chase. Basically, Chase is really mad that Grimes told him to go fuck himself, which in front of his kid. I don't understand this whole Andre Chase and his kids thing. It's kind of creepy. But he does a slideshow of Duke Hudson, or Dick Hudson, as I've got him written here, does a whole slideshow of Grimes after the hair versus hair match with a bunch of stupid edits of what his hair is going to look like. This felt flatter than Andre Chase's ass for me. Grimes goes off to shave Chase, but instead gets saved by Griff Garrison, which was a weird cameo show up.
Fucking not Griff. Stop it.
That looked just like Griff Garrison.
No, his hair was straight. Griff's is like curly,
okay.
isn't it?
Fair.
Come on.
I don't know. I haven't
now.
seen Griff Garrison on
Details.
TV, and I don't know how long.
Details
Who the fuck
now.
is Griff Garrison? We got Grizzly Young Veterans trying to break into Brooks and Dunn's lockers, but Jack Off Time ruins it by talking too loud. Idris Enofe makes his debut, tries to convince us that he can beat Baby Uso. I wasn't so sure, but they put on a banger of a match. We got the 2.0 War Games promo. Carmelo addresses Gargano. Waller, who I fucking can't stand, called them Team Hot Dogs and Handshakes, which I actually popped for a little bit. Tony D's calling out Pete Dunne. The Big Bad Booty Breaker addresses Ciampa, says Team 2.0 is going to win, and then he's going to take the belt away. We got Braun Breaker versus Gargano for the advantage. Gargano gets the win, so Team 2.0 gets the advantage. Or no, Breaker won, right?
Yeah, Breaker won.
Johnny interrupts to botch my nickname for Braun, or as I've discussed with TC, apparently TC came up with it, but he called him the Big Bad Booty Nephew. We call him the Big Bad Booty Breaker.
Yep.
I think Big Bad Booty Breaker is far superior.
Way better.
MSK continues to look for the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and apparently the smart car thinks they're as dumb as I do because the smart car was making fun of him the entire time. They finally find him, and we don't get to see his fucking face. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Hipster Kyle and Jurassic Joe defeat Legado. Imperium interview interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly, and basically they're going to beat him at War Games for the tag team titles because they're number one contenders now. Joe Wayne Gacy promo. He says he's going to win the Cruiserweight title and turn it into the all-inclusive championship at NXT Conflict Resolution, where there will be no gender barriers, no weight limits, no discrimination whatsoever. Anyone can challenge, and to prove this, he's got 3 people that he is going to fight tonight. He beats one before he can get to the second. Diamond Mine comes out, interrupts, the invitational ends. They basically don't like this whole idea of him trying to be inclusive and give opportunities to everyone, including his sub/gimp Harlan, who's back there. We got the Solo Sikoa interview. He's interrupted by Boa, who's, I think, having a heart attack backstage trying to talk to
Right.
I don't know what that was about.
I didn't understand that at all. I was so confused.
Well, so
God.
Solo Sikoa defeats Idris Enofe, and then Bukaki Boa with the face paint comes out, attacks Baby Uso. Idris tries to make the save. He gets dropped, and then Solo ends up getting back up and running off Boa. Zion Quinn arrives, and Elektra Lopez says, listen, I know we had our differences, but I still kind of want to fuck if you're interested, even though you don't want to be part of the group. Persia and Indy defeat Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon. But basically it was just Persia doing stuff while Indy sat upset about Dexter and his injury. Apparently
He's missing.
affected. Yeah, it's affected her to the point to where she cannot function. They They introduced us to Draco Anthony, who has coffee, and everyone just seemed to love the fact that this dude was chilling and having coffee, but he does have a badass name, so I'll give him that. And then, like I said, Bron Breakker defeats Gargano in our main event. And then afterwards, Team 2.0 and Team Hot Dogs and Handshakes all brawl. What are we swallowing from NXT?
Both ladder matches.
Yeah, I like those. I really like Kaylee's and Dakota's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
So I prefer the women's to Bronze and Johnny, but both were good. So I can swallow both of those. I like Cameron Grimes, although I thought the situation with Andre Trace was kind of pointless because last week he just told him to go fuck himself. So if he had to hit him or like took him out, then I can understand them having a match the next week. But he didn't, so it was kind of strange for me. And Duke Hudson, honey, they make Facetune. You can use your phone to do the graphics. I don't understand. Like it was like it was weird. It was a weird looking graphic. It was like very 2000s too. And I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, are you using a PlayStation? What the fuck is this? What happened? And they were horrible. And Matt's right. It fell completely flat because I was just like, okay, at this point, this is drawn out and it's not good. Now I don't know what's going on. Like Xia Li's fucking comic book is dope as hell on SmackDown. And then you got this. A 2-year-old can do better on a phone. I don't understand. I was very lost. So that's not even going in my mouth. That's not even going in there. I'm not, no. Other than that, it shows I'll gargle it. This whole show, fuck it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the tag match or the ladder matches were the big thing that I'm swallowing. That bookmarked the show. They were great.
Baby Uso's match.
Baby Uso's match. Bukaki Boa coming in. That's gonna be cool. 3-way that I'm down to see. I always enjoy seeing Zion Quinn and his little love affair with Elektra Lopez, so I'm down for that as well.
I just give me that every week. I don't fucking care about anything else with Legado. Give me Zion Quinn and Elektra Lopez all day, every day.
That's some old school WWE shit though.
Their sexual tension gives me life, so I'm down.
You got anything, Alexis?
Definitely the ladder matches. I love Kylie Ray. She's a badass, and I love her.
Yep.
Women, I just can't wait for War Games. Honestly, like I'm more hyped for this than anything in the last 2 months that the main roster's put out. And I love Joe Gacy, what he's doing right now. It's so funny because we all know that one person. Like, we all know it's like because we all want change. We want shit, be different, and it's just like evolve or get out. But we know that one person, whether we know them in life or online, they always go like that extra 5 feet they don't need to go to. And I didn't even know that was Joe Gacy at first. So I looked at him, it said Joe Gacy. I'm like, that's not Joe Gacy. There's no way. Is he clean and he got a haircut? What the hell? But he's selling that character so good. I love it.
I love his Dom sub relationship with Harlan. Like that really does it for me. What?
Stop.
Listen,
why?
I'm still
I don't know
upset.
why. I don't know why you're still so obsessed with Gacy and whatever the fuck his name is.
Oh, Parker.
Because
Harlan, whatever the fuck.
It's fun for me. Like I said, I'm still upset that for Halloween Havoc, Joe and Gacy didn't pull up in an unmarked white van, and Harlan wasn't kidnapping motherfuckers and pulling them into the van. Like that's how I would have booked it.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That's who he was. Clown paint and tears. We talked about this.
Did I was on that episode? You're right. Hate you.
What are we spitting from NXT?
I'm MSK. I'm done. I'm tell me who the fuck the dude is. I don't care anymore. I was done 3 weeks ago when this started. Just tell me who it is and let them go on their merry way.
Pay no attention to the man behind the light.
It's literally Wizard of Oz.
Those are our boys.
Oh, I love MSK, but I need to understand what all this is about. So until then, it's got to go. It was taking up too much time. They could have
It's
did
been on for
that
like
shorter.
5 weeks.
It
Just
could
tell
have
me
been
who the
shorter.
fuck the shaman is.
But y'all were in the car majority of this, and y'all were going 7 miles an hour per what y'all were saying. So y'all just dumb. It don't make no sense to be that damn stupid. I'm sorry, but y'all got to get it together. That's just stupid. And if it's somebody dumb, I'm gonna really be mad because you don't wasted 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
I want that 5 weeks back of my life.
Honestly.
I'm spitting hipster Kyle and prehistoric Paul. Just not doing it for me. Not a fan. Jurassic Joe, prehistoric Paul, whatever the fuck you want to call him.
I love that you switched it. That was great.
I'm not a fan. It's not doing it.
I know
for me.
you aren't. Well, you don't like hipster Kyle anyways.
No. They ever since they decided to put Kyle O'Reilly on his own, and then they did the gimmick change where he's like, I'm really cool now. I was like, no, the fuck.
I'm cool, Kyle.
No, go away. Get the fuck out of here. But that's really it. So I'm gonna swallow NXT overall. Again, every week this ends up tending to be my favorite show. So
yeah, you swallow.
Yeah, I'll gargle it.
And I'll gargle it too.
okay. All right, let's kill Monday Night Raw. We kick it off with a Seth promo. He announces that it's going to be Seth versus Big E at day one. He's wearing Becky's clothes. Finn assaults Seth, presumably for wearing Becky's clothes, but Seth gets the win by defeating Finn Balor. Vince starts flirting with Austin Theory backstage and invites him to basically watch Raw and chill, which was interesting. We got a Becky and Liv contract signing. Becky says she wanted to get the fire out of Liv, but Liv keeps holding herself back. Then matches on Raw, and Becky makes fun of Long Island. Liv tears Becky down, how she became everything she hates, blames Becky for her big greedy contract, and that's why her friends aren't here anymore. And then we get 10-woman tag match announced that was accepted for later in the night. Riddle sucks. He wants Randy to cosplay as him. None of us want this. None of us care. They're basically a mullet. RK Bro is a mullet. Randy is the business, and Riddle's in the back, and I can't stand it. I hate mullets, and I hate them. But they defeat Rudolph. Seth and KO have a backstage segment where KO is basically just fucking with Seth. He's like, hey, so if I win my match tonight, I'm going to be in the triple threat. Seth's like, no, you're not. And he goes, oh, yeah, I talked to Adam. I absolutely am. So Seth runs over, and he's like, hey, Adam, KO said this. And Adam's like, I never talked to him. He's like, I knew it. All right, let's go. Then he goes back and he makes fun of me. He goes, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. If this happens, it happens. And sure as shit, because Seth went and talked to Adam and brought it up in front of Sonya, they're like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And now it's a thing. So Seth fucked Seth. Edge returns. He puts over Seth, lists all of his possible opponents. Then the Miz and Maurice come out. And basically WWE does its own version of the CM Punk MJF thing with more popular MJF. Miz blames the WWE universe for his Dancing with the Stars loss, says that JoJo Siwa has a larger, more loyal fan base. Edge calls Miz a clout chaser. Miz calls Edge washed up. Edge calls out the Miz, mentions the AEW thing, and then kind of puts the Miz over. And then when challenged to a fight, Miz does what Miz does and backs down. But Maurice was out there, and that was a plus. We got an AJ interview. Basically, AJ is blind because of the Street Profits and also not funny. Street Profits defeat Alpha Academy. AJ apparently gets kicked in the face by Montez, or in the mouth by Montez Ford, and that healed his eyes. So that's all he needed to see was a kick in the mouth. Vince explains to Austin Theory basically why his own product sucks. Because he's like, did this surprise you? And he goes, yeah, kind of. He goes, no, this was not surprising at all. You need the element of surprise. You need to expect the unexpected. And Vince just keeps talking about how Raw is the same shit every week in this weird meta but awful thing where he talks about how terrible his shit is, but doesn't do anything to fix it. Priest defeats Apollo Crews. The Mysterios defeat the Hurt Business. Team Liv defeats Team Becky. We get a post-match brawl with the Good Girls on top. And then we get more weird Vince and Austin Theory foreplay, which ends in Vince slapping Austin Theory. I don't know how KO defeats Big E by DQ. Seth ends up taking the bait from Kevin Owens, attacks him, and then after he's jumped on commentary, allowing Kevin Owens to be added to the match. So it is now a triple threat at day one. KO, Big E, and Seth. If anything, what are we swallowing from Monday Night Raw?
KO mind fucking Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Yeah.
The best part of the show.
Just hit KO, Liv finally cutting a decent promo where it doesn't sound like she's crying. Like,
you leave Liv alone. Every time that woman comes on screen, you talk about her crying. She hasn't cried in a while. Leave her alone.
The problem is, like, after she does everything, it looks like she's gonna cry, and I'm just like, come the fuck on.
You let her cry.
No.
It's healthy.
You let her cry.
She's emotional.
It's healthy. Let her do that.
I don't know if I'm swallowing the whole Vince and Austin Theory Raw and Chill thing or not, because like part of it really bothers me that WWE's doing this whole thing where they're like, they did it with Liv and Becky, where like they kind of talked about the contracts and the firing, but then they kind of blamed it on Becky and not the fact that WWE is just shitty, doesn't care about their talent, and just fires people to fire people. Vince is talking about how boring and bland his product is, but he's not doing anything to make it better. Like, we keep doing this weird meta bullshit, but we're not actually addressing any of the problem. We're just like, oh yeah, we hear you. We know you're talking about it. So we'll talk about it, but we're not going to do anything to fix it. But also,
that was creepy. Like, I didn't care. That was just creepy.
I'm pretty sure Vince had his hand on Austin Theory's thigh the majority of the night.
Stop it.
Stop.
Look, we all know that he likes being played
Grooming.
Will you cut it out? Do not encourage it.
Vince is grooming Austin Theory.
Please.
Emphasis
Oh,
on the
God.
grooming.
It was very weird, and it just was like, what the fuck?
This point, I didn't even watch it. It was background noise. I couldn't look at it because I didn't understand it. If I can't rationalize it and make some type of sense out of it, I tune out very quickly. I'm like, oh.
I'm gonna swallow the 10-woman tag too.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I agree.
Love Rhea Ripley. Because
Especially now that she's single, yeah.
Damn.
He said now that she's single, yeah.
Now that she's really single, fuck yes.
Hey, shout out to Bianca Belair for fucking just slamming Piper Nevin down like that too.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Bianca's the fucking best. Like,
I love her.
we love Bianca.
She's dope.
I think I'm gonna swallow Edge coming back.
Yeah.
Maurice, that was fun.
Being Maurice.
Maurice just existing. I still don't know how the fuck Miz did that, and if I ever find out, I love my wife, so nothing's gonna happen. But I'm gonna save that knowledge for my next life.
They asked, and she's just like, because I think she said in an interview a couple of years ago that Miz was like the first one who actually wanted to get to know her and didn't see her as just like a hot piece of ass.
Yeah, she said what she said when she was coming through the Diva search. She said she first saw him, she knew that. Right there when he was sitting at the table, it was the way he looked at her.
So cute.
Kind of thing with horrible early 2000s fashion.
Oh,
He
it was
was
terrible.
like, yeah, but he was like completely flushed. He was in awe of her. She was the only one that he could not speak to. He would stammer and he stuttered the whole time she was out there. His face stayed red the whole time she was there.
And look where they are now.
I know, and it's like one of those couples when you see on screen, you're like, you know what, they would be really good in real life together. And then I don't know, she just said like he was the first, when she said he was like the first guy who didn't treat me as just like a sex object, and he was actually interested in learning about me. I was like, all right, Miz, like, good job, bro. Good job.
Because that is not who we thought you were from the real world
Honestly.
to what you were dressed. No, that was not the guy we thought you were.
We all know working on him. Like, nah, like I can see she's throwing like all the fedoras, all the bedazzled shorts. Like, no, this is not coming near me. Get this out of my house. Like, no.
I think that's all I'm swallowing.
Yeah.
What are we spitting?
The rest of the show.
The rest of the show?
Basically.
I mean, I'm spitting Riddle. Everything Arcade Bro.
Yeah. Like, I love Randy, but I fucking can't stand Riddle, and that sucks.
I don't
get. I can understand that.
Like when I watched a couple of his matches in NXT because everyone's just like, "Oh, you'll like him," and I watched him, and I'm just like, "This is who I'm supposed to get hype about."
I mean, he's okay.
He's not the worst person in the ring, but like there are definitely better.
Yeah, like I think his best match was the fight pit with Thatcher. That's my best match with him for me. Other than that, there's not really much about Riddle that stands out. And this version of Riddle that's with Randy is annoying.
Annoying as fuck.
It's annoying.
It's not really annoying. It's more like I'm gonna mute my TV because you're like Corey Graves annoying at this point.
Corey Graves and his porn stash. He does have a porn stash.
He does. And apparently Carmella's into it, so whatever works.
Well, he's into her mask, so it all.
Listen.
Sexy Leatherface.
I'd let her wear the mask. Like,
stop it.
I would. If that's her thing. Like, again, this is the Smackin' Raw podcast, the number one wrestling podcast on Pornhub, and we don't kink shame. So if she wants to wear the mask, I'll let her wear the mask. Protect her skin. She's gonna end up looking like Charlotte when it's done anyway. So like, pull your hair back.
I knew it's where you're fucking taking it too. I hate you.
I'm just saying. Overall, Monday Night Raw, spit or swallow?
Spit.
Spit.
All right. We'll start. Tiffany, what was your favorite show this week?
Favorite show was NXT this week. I always like NXT.
Alexis?
Definitely NXT because they know how to do a go home show before a big do we even call them pay-per-views anymore?
Yeah, because this one is on Peacock, so it's a pay-per-view.
I mean, I just still call the NXT ones takeovers regardless.
Even though they took takeover out.
It's always a takeover to me.
They don't disappoint when it comes to takeovers. So I'm very excited about Warden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. NXT for me, Katie.
NXT.
Dude, when was the last time we had a unanimous vote?
I don't even fucking know.
Normally what happens on the show is it's divided and I'm just like, well, it's my show, so I win, and NXT is the best show of the week. But it's nice not having to do that. So yeah. As per the Down for the Count podcast, the She Elite Showcase, and Smackin' Raw, NXT was the best show of the week. Tiffany or Alexis, either one of you, please plug your show. Let everyone know where they can find you. Hear what you guys got going on.
Well, you can always find us anywhere podcasts are played. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Anchor. We post our podcast every week, usually between Thursday and Friday. We got a couple shows going on the podcast, from the recaps of the pay-per-views to the storyline recaps and the match card prior to that. That's currently up for NXT War Games. Alexis always does wrestling history. Usually she'll do about once a month. It's really good. She takes her time and finds some of the best real stories about the wrestlers, some that are like deep cuts. Like I think the last one we did was the murdering wrestler, the female one. What is her name? Luna?
Juana Barraza.
That's her name. She was a Mexican wrestler, and she was murdering a bunch of grandmas. It's a really good episode. You should go listen to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find that.
Yeah.
That was around October, and Alexis really does a very, very good job with those. And next year, hopefully she'll have the time and she'll be able to dive deeper into it. We're going to have some new shows up. Nicole does interviews, and we have that stuff up. We partner with We Love Wrestling Weekly. The girls tweet the shows, AEW, Rampage. They tweet NXT, both main roster shows. The Twitter is always hopping. It's the Instagram that's kind of dead. But they make sure they tweet. And you can find us at Down for the Count 19 on Twitter, or you can find us on Instagram at D4TC_podcast for sure.
All right. Katie?
Katie Wrestling 13 on Twitter. The link tree in my bio to all things She Leads Showcase. Twitch, because we stream live every Thursday at 9 Eastern. YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We just put an episode out technically yesterday. I don't know. Times are weird. Friday. It came out Friday. Latest interview with Jizzy for Inside the Mind of, which definitely check that out. Matt has one up too. Matt's also really good. Don't shrug. It's good. In the Crowd, the collab show. We have that first episode out. Hopefully filming the second one this weekend. We'll see if people will actually show up. Talking to you, Vince, when you watch this. And oh yeah, I'm gonna be on Young Kings on Sunday.
Oh, so you're going to be joining me on Young King Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right. As always, you guys know you can find me at Matt Riddler, at MATTRIDDER on Twitter only. We have a Twitter and an Instagram that is Smackin' Raw Pod. I run the Twitter. Vince runs the Instagram. And until the numbers get up, I'm not posting anything there. Just come follow me at Matt Ritter. Creation World is the banner under which we exist. So you guys can go check out everything Creation World has to offer, from Dungeons After Dark to Super Flash Hero of Tomorrow. And if Travis ever brings it back, the Creation Conversation, all of that you guys can find at The Creation World. That's THECREATIA World on Twitter and Instagram. Also creationworld.com and Facebook, facebook.com/Creation World, facebook.com/group/Smackin' Raw. It's one of the most chill wrestling groups you can join, because I moderated along with Michael Willis, and anyone that starts shit, we just get the fuck out of here. So there's no drama, no bullshit there. So if you want to go join there, go check that out as well. Other than that, Alexis, Tiffany, thank you guys for coming on. I had a blast. We'll definitely have to have you guys back on. Katie, thank you for filling in for Daddy Delgado, who again went out for a pack of cigarettes and didn't come in. We'll see if he comes back. I am the patron saint of podcasting, the Warden Matt Ritter. This is the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub.